Am I live? Do you see me yet? No.
Still says waiting for Monty Lights.
Okay, well, it tells me that I've been live for 18 seconds. And there are 13 people watching. It seems like. It's 2 o'clock. Hello, if you are able to see me and hear me, I would love for you to give me a thumbs up so I know that I am live, in fact. So if you can give me a thumbs up or just say hello so I know you're here, that'll be wonderful. I have not done a live in so long that I took a while to figure out how to set up my stuff today. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Bonnie. So good to see you. I'm so glad you were able to come today. This should be fun. And I'm getting some thumbs ups. We're going to give people about 5 minutes to tune in, maybe a couple more. We'll see. I have more than an hour to spare today, but I know if you need to get off after an hour, that's fine. But I just want to make sure that you get from this what you came here to get. Hello, Diane. I see someone called Sister. Hi, Terry. It's so nice to see such familiar faces and names. So glad that you could come today. I really appreciate it. I think we all needed this connection. Bonnie says hi, Mansi and Mira. I don't know how Bonnie knows that you're here, but she said hi, Mansi and Mira. Hi, Francine. I haven't seen you in so long. Thank you for coming. Hi, Terry. So good of all of you to make this time for yourselves today, because really this is all about you. This is all about giving yourself the gift of creativity today and walking out of this life feeling good about yourselves. That really is my only intent. And I'm hoping that if nothing else, whether or not you end up making any of these gratitude tags or doing any of these techniques that I will share today, you will walk away from this just feeling good. That's all I really want from today's live. So I see more people tuning in, more thumbs up comings. I need this more than you know, Diane. So I decided to do one thing today that I've never done before. And as people are tuning in, I'm actually going to type this in as well so they know and they're aware. Let me see if I can type this in. Mira, would you tell me if you're able to see it when I type it in? Okay. I'm seeing two of myself suddenly. Let me just see. Okay, there's one of me. Hi, Christy. It's your first time here. Welcome. So I'm typing in that my 10-year-old, her name is Mira, is going to be the moderator. And what that means is that if there are questions that you type in, usually I am so focused on creating that I forget to look up at the screen and I miss a couple of questions. And when I do a live and I go back, sometimes YouTube will hide the live comments from me. So I'm not able to go back and answer the questions that I intended to during the live, but never got around to doing it. So Mira offered, she volunteered to help today. Do you want to come here and say hi? She's sitting there at her table. We share this room. Hi, Jean. Hi, Heather. Hi, Pam. You made it. This is Mira. She's my, your side, this side. This is my 10-year-old. And she has decided to be the moderator. And she's not only going to just help me with the questions, she's going to speak them out loud to me since she's sitting right next to me if I'm not able to look at the screen. But she's also going to be our kind of, what should I call you? Reason to stay kind. So if you wouldn't say something with a 10-year-old present in the room, please don't say that. Please don't type that in your comments. So we're making her our kindness moderator as well. I know, we are in a political climate right now, and that is also why I offered this as a sanctuary and as a safe space. I would like for it to stay a safe space. So if you have something you won't say in front of a 10-year-old, this is your reminder. She's going to be reading all the comments. Okay, go for it. You can be my moderator. Thank you for saying hi to her and thank you for welcoming her. She's such a big part of my journey, and she's such a big part of why I even make these gratitude tags and have been handing them out for the past 7 years. So I'm going to give people one more minute and then I'm going to get started at 2:05. I did want to give some background. I know many of you are familiar with what I do and also the reason why you're here, but since there are a couple of first timers and there are people here that might not know what I do, I am a creativity facilitator for women, and specifically women because I think a lot of us have experienced things in our lives that have made us question ourselves, not believe in ourselves. think of ourselves as not artists, not creatives. And I want to change that with these little tokens. And I want to make you feel empowered and make you feel like, yes, you are an artist because you are. I truly believe that. And that's my job. That's my job, to facilitate your creativity, not to teach you anything, to learn alongside you, to play with you, to remind you that that 3-year-old that you have hiding inside that wants to get her fingers messy and dirty, I'm going to encourage her. I'm not going to tell her to stop. I'm not going to tell her to wipe her fingers. I'm not going to tell her to wear gloves. I am in my best dressed outfit. This is a cashmere cardigan. This is a dress that I made from one of my paintings. And I usually do not wear an apron. I'm okay with paint getting on me because I wear that as a badge of honor. Most of my jeans, I think, have paint stains on them, and that's fine. It's part of who I am. If I start worrying about that and that makes me stop myself from creating, or I have to wear a special garb to be in my creative zone, I think that's another hurdle to overcome. So I don't do that. I will dress how I feel and I will play how I feel. And that's what I want to encourage you to have, that mindset. We always come up with excuses. Pam and I were just chatting about this yesterday on Instagram. We come up with so many excuses to stop ourselves from starting. Sometimes it's procrastination, which is also great. I think it is. Procrastination is a good thing, but sometimes that procrastination goes on for too long and becomes a creative slump, and we don't want that. So my encouragement is going to be to play today. I'm going to switch cameras and I'm going to talk to you about the two, you see two URLs on the top left of your screen. One is to my website. So if there's anything you ever need or you want a way to contact me, that's where you go, mansimakes.com. The second is a bit.ly link, and that is, it says bit.ly/mm book feature. So I am writing a book about these little tokens of love that I've been making for the last 7 years. And I would love to have a section on kindness ambassadors in that book. Some of you who are here today have already contributed to that section, and thank you for that. The deadline to submit was November 15, yesterday, but I have extended it to November 30th because I decided to do this workshop, and I figured when you come and you attend it and you try out some of these techniques and you make some of your own little tokens of love and you hand them out, that you can then actually go to that form, and I will link it in the description of the YouTube video when it goes as a replay. So you can click on it. If you are unable to find it, just message me through my website or find me on Instagram or Facebook. There are multiple ways to get in touch with me. I will send you the link. But what I would like for you to do is to make these, to hand them out, and to share your experiences with me that I can include in my book. Because I don't think you realize how powerful each and every one of you is in inspiring others to be kind. So I would love, love, love for you to do it with your kids, for you to do it with your grandkids, for you to do it by yourself. The book is obviously going to have a lot of techniques and will have ideas on how to hand these out after you've made them. But I just want to hear your stories, and I would love to include them in the book. So keep that in mind as you're creating. I'm going to switch the camera, and I'm going to pop myself here as well, so you can see me at the bottom left, and make that right. So I have a couple of samples here for you, and I collected these samples. I'm drowning. I'm literally drowning. I have all of these gratitude tags in the making right now that I'm pointing to. There's at least 5 times more in the back because I'm working on the book, and the book has over, how many chapters did we decide on, Mira? 13? I think 9. Yeah. Well, 10 chapters, but multiple techniques in each chapter. So there's going to be a chapter, say, on watercolors, simple watercolor techniques. I'll show you some of these today. This one, I call it guided line drawings, also looks like a stained glass painting. So some of these techniques will be in there. You can do them in a variety of ways. We'll go over that. There's finger painting that will be included. There is, Mira made this the other day with me. So this was a very simple watercolor. And I'm stretching. Can you pass that to me, yours? Thank you. So Mira made this with me the other day. She was just making swirls, circles with watercolor. And the new Optimist paints that I got, the resin-based ones, she was just experimenting. This is actually supposed to be a card, but we're using this watercolor paper to just experiment on, and then cut these up and turn them into gratitude tags or little tokens of love and appreciation. So I cut mine up, so that's why I wanted to give you context. This is how it started out, and this is kind of where I took it. So you can leave it like that, or you can add some embossing in different colors and add textures. add stenciling to it. This started out as something like, wait, this is a hydrangea. So this started out as a background. It was just like a background like this. And then I worked with Posca markers and colored pencils. And you can see gold. I love gold. So you can embellish things any which way you want. You don't have to have a ton of supplies to do whatever it is that you want to do. You can do it very, very simply with very little things. So I'm going to show you some more examples because I want to get you to know that there is not one way of doing these, of making these. There isn't. There are as many ways as you can dream up, as many supplies that you want to use, as little supplies as you want to use. These are made with paint peel. So this is paint that I peel off. So I have a palette paper. You'll see me use that when I do the finger painting. And then this is from yesterday. I was finger painting. And what I would do after I have this whole palette paper covered in paint is just peel this off. This is not thick enough right now, but you see where the parts are thick enough. I will peel it off. It literally just kind of glides off. And this is a very, very cool technique because then I am a big proponent of not wasting anything. And this gave me so much joy when I accidentally stumbled upon this one day. I don't even know why I started peeling it off, but it was such a, maybe Mira did, because she likes to peel things. She has a thing for textures and she cleans my brayers usually. She just peels off the paint. And so when we discovered this, I was like, oh my gosh, we can use this. So it's literally peeled off paint. It has like a flat texture on one side, raised texture on the other side, and then I just peel it off and I just kind of glue it on and turn it into flowers or butterflies or owls or houses, whatever you want to do. But this is a very, very cool technique that you can then embellish with Posca markers, with glitter pens, and these look like bookmarks, and a lot of people do use them as bookmarks. Also shape and size, I will make a note of it because a lot of questions I get are about the shape, the size. If you need any kind of puncher or a die cut to create these, no. You just need a paper cutter. If you don't have a paper cutter, just tear. As you can see, I do over here with my watercolor paper. I just tear it. It's not a decal edge thing that I have. I just tear it. So let's get started. I think that's a lot of different kinds of samples. Oh, gel plate printing. We'll be doing some of that too today. I don't think I have a sample of a finished gel plate, but this was something that I started doing the other day, just experimenting, and I can turn this with some colored pencil and some glitter and some gold into a gratitude tag. So what I usually do, I will share with you what I usually do. So what I usually do is in my spare time, that is my procrastination time, days when I'm not feeling very, very creative, but I still want to do something with my hands and not just sit in front of the TV. I actually have stopped watching the news. I will cut. So I cut paper and then I just save this to make gratitude tags with. So this is with a Fiskars puncher that actually is a tag maker. So this is with that. These are just cut up. They are glossy on one side, not glossy on the other. They're cardstock. Paper doesn't really matter. You can use watercolor paper. You can use heavy cardstock. You can use light cardstock. I even sometimes will use copy paper and then stick it onto something else that is a bit sturdier like cardstock. Printed papers, if you get them from Michaels or from another outlet, if you get them in bulk, you can use those as well to collage. So I just cut these. I just have these handy. This size, the 2x4, is the most popular. What I've noticed is that people use this as a bookmark, but it also fits in their wallets or their ID badges, especially airport workers are able to put this in their ID badges. And many people who have received these circle ones, I punch a hole and, Mira, could you grab me a circle? There's a circle guided line drawing one. I just want to show a finished one. That one's actually going to be in my book, so you'll see it in the book.
Someone's asking if your book will only be on Amazon through your...
No, my book will be everywhere, hopefully. It will not only be on Amazon, it will be in many stores. But so this is what I do with the circle ones, and just punch a hole. And sometimes what people have told me is they will hang this from their rear view mirror in their cars, which is really, really cool. I never thought somebody would do that, but that's really nice. So the book will be on Amazon. The book will be in local bookstores, hopefully. I don't know if I'll be doing a book tour. If I am, Mira's going to be missing a lot of school because she's going to be accompanying me on it. So we have these cut up ones that I have. I just save them. And then whenever, an idea strikes or I just want to sit and create something quickly, I will just go for one of these shapes. I also have watercolor paper that I tear out. I buy these really, really big sheets. They're 36 by 40 in size, and I just cut them up and I get maybe about 45 or 50 of these. These are more bookmark sized. So again, size is up to you, what you want to make, okay? So don't fret about size. I also will tell you that sometimes when I use full-on sheets, 8.5 by 11, and I cut them up in the 2 by 4, I have these leftovers. I do not throw away these. I save them because these are my paintings. My heart and soul went into them. Why would I throw these strips away? And you know what I do with these strips? I cut out shapes with these strips. So I had shared some of that on social media recently. I'll show you the strips that I cut out. Oh, they're actually here. I was a bit organized this morning. But when I cut these shapes out, so this is my shape tray and my peeled paint tray. And so these are the shapes I will cut out. Like I have a bazillion of these. So these are paintings that I made. And then for some of you who bought my kits, the bucket filler kits that I was making earlier this year and last year, got some of these shapes and made some collages out of them. So this is what I do. Nothing that my hands have touched is going in the trash, no matter what it looks like. Nothing is going in the trash. I touched it. That, by virtue of that, it becomes special. By virtue of that, it has joy, it has that energy in it. I am not trashing it. I also don't trash, once I have cut those shapes out with those little punchers, I will save these. And I will turn these into gratitude tags as well. So I don't know where I have those. I have those somewhere. I was working on those yesterday. I will show you once I find them. But I know people are eager to start. So we'll start with something super, super simple. And Mira, I might ask you to get me a white paper from there, from the rack. I'll start with watercolors because that is something that people get very worried about because they don't consider themselves, thank you, as watercolor artists. And I do this on the go. I have a little watercolor kit that I keep in my car. I actually just made a couple this morning while I was waiting for Mira to be done with her activity. These little Altoid tins are amazing. So this is my portable watercolor kit that I carry with me when we travel. And I have these watercolors in them. You can see it doesn't take a lot. It does not take a lot at all. You just need a very, very little amount. I also have these strips from Peerless Watercolors, which are very handy when it comes to watercoloring on the go in a plane. So I will get my brush. I would typically use a water brush, but if you don't have a water brush is essentially something that has, let me show you, that has a water reservoir. So that's a water brush. So the reason I like water brushes is that it contains water, and so when you're on the go, you don't have to worry about spilling cups. I have done that on many occasions in the past. This is a Da Vinci brush. Don't go by brand name. I'm not a brand loyalist when it comes to colors or tools or supplies. I go more by texture and the kinds of colors I want and the kinds of brushes I want. So if you were using a water brush, you would simply have a paper towel handy. Make sure you squeeze hard so you get the tip of the brush wet. I'll show you every way that I do it. And then if you were on a plane and you had one of these little handy dandy kits of mine, or your own if you've made one of your own, you would just make sure that this has enough water, each of the wells. And if you're using these strips, it's even easier. So what you would do is, with the strips, you would just take your water brush, make sure it gets enough color, and just kind of make happy smiles. Just smiles. Everybody can do that. So anything you see today is not going to be complicated. It's going to be very, very simple because I believe in simplicity. Because if this became complicated, I would not be doing it. And I need for it to be simple for my own sake. So you see, it's just C's. Anybody can do that, right? Then get a different color. Maybe get a red. So these strips are really, really convenient because you can just literally, you can see. This is Peerless Watercolors, available from their website. I love this company. It's a mom and pop kind of shop. And if it starts becoming too dry on you, like this water brush is getting too dry on me, I'll squeeze some water out. carries a lot of load for the tiny little thing it is. And it doesn't look like flowers yet at all, because these are just blobs, right? That's what we're making. And then we go in with maybe an orange from this, because now this is saturated. I'm just using warm colors. I'm still continuing to do the smiley faces. I'm varying the size. So it looks like, you know, the bigger flowers are at the bottom, the tiny buds are on the top. And again, I'm planting that idea in your head right now that these are flowers. So that's what you're going to end up seeing in them. Flower. It's the idea of flowers. I don't do anatomically correct flowers. I just like making happy things, things that make people smile. And I will say this too, that in all my years of handing these out, it's been 7 years now, of handing these out to strangers in our travels, in our community, nobody has ever said, oh, what kind of flower is that? Or really? You want to give me that? Nope. Your artistic skills are secondary. What you're doing is what's more important. Like, look at these stems. They are so fat. They are very, very fat stems. But that's the brush I'm working with right now, so that's what I have, right? So it's okay. It's not a big deal. And I will show you one other thing. If I don't like what I just made, which I don't particularly like this right now. So if I were on the plane and I didn't like this in that moment, I would just drip water over it. And I know some of you are going to gasp when you see this, but I will tell you to trust yourself and just kind of let the water do its thing. It's okay. It's all okay. It's just paper. It is just paper. It is not the end of the world. And then take your paper towel. If it became too watery, Mira's smirking over there. What are you smirking about?
You always put water on top of it.
I put water on top of it when I don't like it. And I didn't like this. It just became too, I don't know, too particular. And those fat stems were not doing anything for me. So I'm a perfectionist by tendency, so it's very hard for me to let go, I will say that. And over the years, for those of you who followed me, you've known my struggle, which is why I emphasize so much on the letting go aspects, because I'm not doing it for you, I'm really just doing it for me. This is more a pep talk for myself as I do these than it is for you. I'm just glad that it comes across as pep talk for you, because really I'm just kind of telling myself that it's okay. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to, you know, not know what you're doing, because half the time I don't. I'm just going to go back in while this is still wet and see if I can get like a thinner stem, something that I can. Now these are more abstract flowers, as you can see. Again, just the idea of it being flowers. And go back in with some red to emphasize what we had earlier. I got a pink instead, but that's okay. And maybe, you know, the one thing that always saves me is this. Splatters, that makes me feel so artistic. Splatters are the best thing. Okay, right? Hi, Ollie. Ollie's our puppy. He's an Australian Labradoodle, and he usually sleeps at my feet, so he's just decided to come out from under the table. You might see him in a bit. So this is what I have, right? I have something that looks like flowers, that kind of started out one way, is ending up another way. I really don't know how to make leaves, but I can again give an idea of what leaves might look like. Again, it's the idea of, right? We're not doing a master class on watercoloring. And that's something that I would do on a plane. And this took what, 3-4 minutes? And once this is, so I do multiples. What I would do is I would finish all the paintings, and then I would go in with a pen and I would sketch on this. So I'll do another one like I would if I was sitting here in my studio with a proper brush, and I would do something like this. So you can see how the brush makes a difference too. It's the amount of water it carries, the load it has, the pigment it can hold. All of that stuff makes a difference. It does. I get that, but I also don't want that to become your stumbling point that, oh, I don't have the brush Mansi has, so I cannot create what she created. It has nothing to do with the tools. It has everything to do with the intent. Your intention is to make something out of nothing. This was a blank piece of paper 30 seconds ago. You're making something that nobody else can make. I cannot make this again because I don't know what I'm doing. And I think that therein lies the beauty in this, because I myself don't know what I'm doing. I'm just literally moving the brush around, as you can see, stippling, or whatever the actual fancy terms for the techniques are. I don't know them because I never went to art school. So I have really no idea. That is why I say I'm not going to teach you anything. But as you watch me play, I hope it encourages you to play as well. Because there's no one way. There's no right way. There's your way. And that's it. It's the way that brings you joy. And then just adding some more. And see how this is, because this is a different kind of brush, I can get a finer tip. This is what I was trying to do with my travel brush. But that is also another thing, when you're traveling and you don't have your studio supplies with you, don't have that become your excuse to not create. You'll just create something different. You won't create this, but you'll create that. And that is just as fine as this is. It's just different. At the end of the day, you'll still have created something that brings joy to someone. That is the bottom line with these, is to bring yourself joy first as you're creating, no matter where you are, in a cafe, in the car, at an airport, in an airplane, in a train, in a bus. Shaky buses are the best, as are shaky airplanes. Yes.
When you brought up airplanes, someone's asking, when painting on a plane, do you have issues with passengers that don't like the paint smell?
I think they have issues with other smells at that time in an airplane. I don't think paint. So this is literally what I carry with me in the airplane. These are the two. And this is how much watercolor they hold. There is no smell. If you are I have not once in 5 years that I've been doing paintings on a plane on the go have had anyone come and tell me that this is too smelly. These have no smell. I'm just smelling them right now. I've never thought of smelling any of these, but they don't smell. And Mira is very sensitive to smell, so she would know. She would notice that first. But so you see how these two paintings are very different. Now I have this other brush. This is supposed to be a striping brush. And what that means is it has a very, very nice tip. So if you don't want to do florals, if florals intimidate you, or if they're not your thing, you can just do something as simple as lines. So you can take your pinstripe brush. Any brush will do. This just makes it easier, as Mira says. So all you would do is that. Anybody can do that, right? You can do that. I know that you can do that. I'm just taking the brush from one edge to the other, and that was orange. Now I can do red. Oh, you know what? Mira and I were discussing what we should ask you guys to make this a bit more interactive as we're playing. Some of you might be working too alongside me, so if you're not able to type, that's fine. But if you're just watching, we would love to know what your favorite color is. So type in what your favorite color is.
Also, someone's asking where you find the best place to purchase your brushes.
The best place to purchase my brushes, I have been going to St. Louis Art Supply recently to get my brushes because they have a wide variety of brushes. They ship from St. Louis. It takes a while for stuff to come, but it's worth the wait. This brush is from there. This is the Tintoretto. They import brushes from Europe, which is really nice.
Not too expensive, but good quality.
Not too expensive, but good quality would be Princeton brushes. Those are readily available on Amazon. But if you can support a local art store, I would recommend doing that. And most local art stores will carry Princeton brushes. The Da Vinci is a bit more expensive. This one, Tintoretto, is even more expensive. I believe this was for $20, $25, this brush, the pinstriping brush that I got. I may be completely mistaken about the price, because when I'm purchasing art supplies, I really don't have a budget. That is a problem. It is a problem. Because I just buy, if I like it, I will just buy it. Because the thing is, if I hold back thinking it's too expensive, I will keep thinking about it and I will keep worrying about it. And this way I get to play. This brings me joy, and joy is priceless. So that's how I justify it to myself. But if you end up spending $1,000 based on what I said, it's not on me, it's on you. Just letting you know, just putting it out there. So see how simple this is, and it's very, very calming. It is just such a calming thing to do, to make stripes. Just make stripes. Just like let the brush do its thing, let it glide. You don't have to do watercolor the flowers all the time. This is watercolors, and this is fun, and this is painless, and it is peaceful, and it is zen. And I'm going to mess it up, so I'm going to stop. So there's something about doing something neat like this and then messing it up. I am very good at that. I keep saying messing it up because that's a terminology Mira uses. I don't think I mess it up, but according to her, this was something very, very neat. I'm taking out the blue and putting in the green because I realized that in rainbow, you go from the warmer shades to a green before you go to a blue. That's why that was looking odd to me. It just felt jarring. So I'll put the blue back in, but I just wanted to put a green. And see, that's the other thing. As you're doing this, there shouldn't be any rules, but if you don't feel something is feeling right, undo it. It's just paper, it's just colors, it's just play. It's all good.
A lot of people are saying they like blues and purples. There's some reds and pinks.
Oh, okay.
There's one green and
there's no yellows? Nobody likes it.
No
yellows. Oh, yellow is my favorite color. Okay, what's your least favorite color? Let's see. Let's see if we have like a majority of people that don't like a particular color. So this is my wonky rainbow, right? It's like anybody can do this, and it is so soothing and so calming. And so how you could leave it as this, and this is just fine, and you could write a thank you, or you could stick a thank you sticker on, and this would be done. Or you could take it a step further. What I mean by taking it a step further is, I don't have access to this, which is my most favorite gold paint. This is the Pebeo Colorex watercolor ink. I love this. I will show you why in a second. But when I travel, I don't have that. What I have when I travel is a little, where is my metallic? Is it in my travel bag? Probably. It might be in our travel bag. I don't think I emptied it. But those are Iule colors. I'm just trying to look for them, but if I don't find them, I'll show you an alternative that I have. Because I have so much paint. Too much. Oh, and actually, Peerless just came out with metallic strips as well. So that can be your on the go. And for those who are wondering what Peerless is, this is what Peerless transparent watercolors look like. Yeah, I don't think I have my metallics here, Mira.
There are two blacks of least favorite colors, and
people don't like black.
And two, I have no least favorite color.
Okay, and these are the metallics. This is the black graphite metallic from Peerless Watercolor. I got the bigger strips because they were having a warehouse sale. And what I do is I cut them up into these smaller strips so that I can carry them with me. These are Bria Reese, or no, these are Coliro. But there's Bria Reese metallics as well that I have. So lots of different watercolor options. Some of these are also metallic. My favorite one is this because it just packs a punch. You do have to shake it quite a bit for the pigment to mix, but you'll see what I mean by how it just brings life to the watercolors. I usually, because I'm a miserly person, don't want to waste anything, will just pick this up from the lid. As I shake it, a lot of it gets transferred to the lid. I don't want to dip my brush in there, so I will just use the lid and then just kind of follow that same pattern with this brush. This is such a meditative exercise for me. It just feels so calming. And I'm not thinking about anybody in particular as I'm painting these. Usually what happens if you're a card maker, you're making a card for someone particular or for a particular occasion. What I find really freeing about this practice is that I'm not making it for anyone. I know I'll hand it out to someone. I don't know who I'll hand it out to. And I will usually just keep a stash of these with me in the car. I'll have them in my jacket pockets. And whatever comes out that particular day is what that person gets. On a flight, I will ask people what their favorite color is, what their favorite flowers are, and sometimes custom make things for them. But in general, like these that I'm making right now, these will be handed out to completely random strangers, usually while waiting for Mira to be done with one of her classes, or while I'm grocery shopping, or if I just see, a person that could use a smile. It's not always a thank you thing. Sometimes it's just, hey, I figured you could use a smile today, so I hope this makes you smile, or here's a bookmark for you. It feels awkward as an adult to go up to another adult and say stuff like that, but I've kind of learned to overcome it because not once has anybody said, okay, you're weird, get away from me, or no, I don't want that. Not once in 7 years has anybody said that. Once I did have someone trash a gratitude tag that I gave them, but that I wrote about it on my Substack, which you should go read. It's a beautiful token tale, one that taught me a lot of humility that day. But people are in they're going about their own lives, and they don't really care how much time you spent on making these, how much effort you spent on making these. And when you hand this to someone, you have to know that you might face rejection. It will happen one day. And that's okay, because the outcome is not in your control. What is in your control is to create these right now, to create something that brings you joy, something of beauty, that makes you smile. You're doing this for you, not for anybody else. When you get a hug from someone who receives this, or somebody smiles and tells you you made their day, that's a bonus. I consider that as a bonus. That's not why I'm making these. This is a very, very selfish exercise. I am making these for myself. This gold this watercolor is from Pebeo. It's called ColorX watercolor ink. And alternatively, you can always use any. These are all available on Amazon, any kind of gold pigmented inks. Watercolor inks, there's metallic watercolor pigments available from Ilule, I think is the name. I wish I could find that. It's probably in one of my watercolor kits. Okay, and then how to accent these. I'm just stretching over to grab my Micron pens. One is brown, one is black. That's the only difference. So how I would finish these up is, first of all, make sure that this works. This works. And I would just make a little border. Now there are two ways to go here, so I'll show you both. I like making borders because I just feel like it adds like a finishing touch, and it grounds the painting. It also makes it look very kind of artsy, folksy, handmade. Like I handed one of these this morning to a lady, and she didn't realize that I had painted it because I had already written a gratitude note for her, and I said, I got you a bookmark. I should have said I made you a bookmark. I said, I got you a bookmark. I gave it to her. And then later, when I made a second one for her colleague, because I was still waiting for Mira to come out, she saw me making it, and she saw me handwrite the note, and she was like, wait, you made mine too? And I said, yes, I did. So sometimes it's just going to be lost on people that you made this. So I'm going to write a thank you over here. Just simple, all caps. Don't have to do fancy calligraphy. I do not know how to do fancy calligraphy. I mess up when I try to do fancy calligraphy. But here, you have a very, very simple bookmark or gratitude tag or little token of appreciation, whatever you want to call it. And it's done. It has a little hint of gold, but that's it. It's not fancy. It's not complicated. It's very simple. And I think it took all of 10 minutes to make these 3. So if watercolor is not your jam, make it your jam, because I do think it will bring you so much joy. And the more you create these, the more at ease you'll feel with watercolors. And you can make these exact same things with gouache. So again, a wonky border. And with this one, because it has a dark background, I want the flowers to stand out a bit more. So I'm just going to go in without lifting my pen, kind of outline, and so I'll bring this a bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. All I'm doing is taking the shape of the existing flower, not lifting up my pen, and just kind of making wobbly, sketchy lines. And why I'm needing to do this or feeling like I should do this is because As you remember, this one was the one I didn't like initially, and so I blended the colors and made that into the background. And so everything is very red. And so this will just make those flowers stand out a bit more. And then, of course, if you were, nitpicking and really wanting to be perfectionists about this, you could go in with colored pencils and add more accents where these now newly formed petals are taking shape to make it even more emphasized that these are flowers. But again, remember, do what brings you joy. If it's starting to stress you out, put it away. It's not worth it. It's not worth the stress. Don't let any of this stress you out. Nothing here that we're doing today has anything to do with perfection. It's all about bringing you joy. It's all about trying something you've never tried before and seeing how you feel. Maybe you'll fall in love with watercolors. Maybe you'll hate it even more with a stronger passion. I don't know until you find out for yourself. I can't tell you. I cannot tell you what it's going to feel like for you. You have to do it and decide for yourself what it feels like. And if you want to do it again, or you don't want to do it again. But if you don't try, you will never know. Right? And you don't have to invest in a lot of different kinds of supplies. So for watercolors, like I just showed you what I would do on the go. These are all portable, right? Micron is the name of the brand. It's the Sigma Micron. Mira, are you doing your letter writing instead of moderating comments? Because there was a question that you didn't tell me.
Okay, say it now.
No, there's a question about, is Micron the name of the...
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, it's Micron. Oh, she is paying attention. I wasn't. Sorry. Jean, did that answer your question? I'm just giving her a hard time because she started doing her work. Well, she's not on my payroll, so it's okay. Oh, I smudged the gold. See, and I smudge things a lot, but that's okay. It's fine. It just becomes part of the thing. So I was saying for watercolors, I just showed you what I do with a portable watercolor kit. But you can also, I want to show you this. This is a really, really cool thing. If you don't have watercolors, a low budget investment. This one I'm not going to touch. This looks good like this. I'm not going to touch it. I'm just going to add something like, let's see. I'm going to show you the low budget thing in a minute. BU. I like the BU for this. So I'm just going to take a glue stick, or my glue, not glue stick, my liquid glue. Add a BU. I didn't add anything to this, so maybe I should write. I love cursive, but I've also noticed when I write in cursive, a lot of people are unable to read cursive. So that's just something I have learned in my years of handing these out, that if you write cursive, maybe write cursive over here, but on the back, when you write a note to them, don't write in cursive, because sometimes people don't know how to read cursive. So just be aware of that. I have learned that. And usually what I will do on the back, I will also tell you what I usually do on the back. Usually what I do on the back is I will write my hashtag, which is little tokens, big ripples. So that's the tentative title of my book, Little Tokens of Love, Big Ripples of Happiness. So that's my hashtag, Little Tokens, Big Ripples. Then I will ask them their name. I will say, dear, whatever their name is. And then I will write, thank you for your kindness, something specific that they did. Or if it is just to make them feel happy, say something positive about, today is another chance to live a wonderful life, or to make a beautiful day, or to create magic. Keep smiling, have a wonderful week ahead. That's how much space there usually is for something like that, and I will sign it. And that's how I hand it to them. So it's nothing elaborate, it's nothing grand, it's a very small gesture, but it makes people smile. It makes people believe in humanity again, and I think that is an amazing thing, that a simple token like this can do that. So my cheap budget option if you're not into watercolors. This was an accidental discovery. This is going to be in my book, but I'm just sharing it here with you too. So scribble, you can do that. Scribble, scribble. Yeah, take out your frustration, your scribbles if you want. Just scribble. So I remember the first time I did this, Mira was like, what are you doing? And she thought I was testing the pens. because, is the pen, because usually this is what I do when I'm testing a pen. Is it working? Is it not? Because most of my ballpoint pens don't work. They fail me when I need them the most. But I actually didn't know what I was doing. I saw this Instagram reel of this artist that does scribble sketches, and he makes, oh my gosh, amazing portraits out of scribbles. Dog portraits, people portraits, any kind of, like, you could basically have that person make anything. I am not claiming to be that artist. I'm just saying this is a low budget watercolor option because inks are water soluble, and all I'm doing is scribbling, as you can see. Anybody can do this. Your 3-year-old grandchild can do this. They'll probably have a lot of fun doing it, right? Scribble, scribble, scribble. Looks like nothing still. Won't look like something for a while. I'll get a green and a dark blue. And you can see where I'm going with this, right? Does it look like something? Anything? Yes, flowers. Always flowers. Wonky flowers, happy flowers, weird flowers, all kinds of flowers, just not anatomically correct flowers. Because I don't have, honestly, the time and the wherewithal to be making anatomically correct flowers. Precision is not my jam. I like doing things that are more like this, which anybody can do. And that's the beauty of it, right? I love that you can do it with me. I love that we don't need special skills to do any of this. We just need a good heart, we need a few supplies, and we need the right mindset. And if you have those three and kindness in your heart, you're already set up for success. And then I will take my watercolor brush, or actually, since we're doing, well, low budget watercolor brush, it's all good. And just take your watercolor brush and kind of go around the edges. So you don't need to buy watercolors if that is not your jam, but you still want to try it out. This is what you do.
What are those pens?
Ink pens, any ink pen, fountain pen. The pens we used to write letters with back in the day. I sound really old when I say that, but I miss writing letters with fountain pens. I used to learn cursive at school and write letters to each other with fountain pens. That's what they are, they're fountain pens. I don't even know what brand they are. They're just like some random fountain pen set that I got many, many years ago. And they still have ink in them. If you have an ink pot and a pen that has a nib, use that. So you see how simple it is? Scribbles can turn into something so beautiful. Who knew? I just chanced upon this and I was so thrilled, because now if I don't have all of this with me and I just have my water brush and 2 or 3 of these pens, I'm good to go. I can create these on the go, and I can make different kinds of flowers. It doesn't always have to be the same. I can make roses or something that looks like roses. I can make lilacs. I can make magnolias. At least I know some names of flowers. And then just, extend it out. And you got something very modern, artistic looking that's done just by way of scribbles. See how easy that is? So if you don't know watercolors, you don't want to learn watercolors, you're afraid of watercolors, whatever excuse it is that you're coming up with, I want you to nip that in the bud, and I would like you to give this a try. Because it doesn't get simpler than this. Does not get simpler than this. This one says Pilot Precise Varsity. The ink pens, and these ink pens came as a set of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I believe there's a light blue and a black, so maybe 7 colors. And so I would let this dry, I would do a border around it, write some uplifting message or stick something on, and then this becomes another token of love. Okay, so moving on, we did a lot of watercoloring, which I wasn't intending to do, but here we are. I do want to do one mixed media piece, and I want to do one gel plate piece. So for mixed media, I'm just going to switch gears here. I'm taking this one sheet of paper, and I'm going to take, what should I take, Mira? What did people say their favorite colors were? Can you yell them out to me? I'll just pick some of those favorite. Blue,
purple,
purple.
red, pink, green, turquoise.
Okay, wait, stop. Blue. I'm just gonna show you what I am doing
And some
with this
favorite
camera,
colors.
so you can see what I'm picking out of this wall. Yes. What are we saying?
Blue, purple.
I got blue.
Purple.
Purple will make with red and blue.
Turquoise.
So let me get a red 1 second.
And yeah, red was one of them. And pink.
Okay, I have a beautiful pink. So
Green.
what kind of green? You pick a green. Should it be a light green, like an olive green?
Sure.
Okay. And then?
Turquoise.
Turquoise. Do I have a turquoise?
I think it's this.
Do you see a turquoise?
This is sort of
This
like,
one is a bright
it's
aqua.
an aqua. It's basically the
Okay,
same thing.
so turquoise. And then I will pick a yellow because yellow is my favorite. I think we have enough colors. And then if we need a white, I'll ask you to pick up my white from the closet.
Oh, and a least favorite color was orange.
Oh, we're going to use orange because somebody doesn't like orange.
Use
Yes.
the bright one.
I got the bright one, okay. So see, this is how I have you direct this. And this is what I would like you to do for yourselves. Close your eyes and pick colors, random colors. I am not deciding these colors, you decided these colors. So
Paper are you using?
this is cardstock, just regular cardstock, 8.5 by 11, regular cardstock. You can use copy paper for this technique because we're just going to be scraping. But if you use copy paper, you will then have to mount it on something like cardstock. So you would use that as a collage sheet. So I'm just going to go, oh, and this paint peel. Don't forget the paint peel.
Switch your camera.
Switch my camera. Oh, sorry. Thank you for the reminder. Switching my camera. So here is the paint peel, which we're not using right now. So I will save that in here. And so we've got green. Sometimes a lot will squeeze out more than I intended, but hey, that's, oh wow, I haven't used this orange in a while. Oh, that's going to be so cool, like as a flower when stuck on. So don't throw away those paint peels because, you know, they will come in handy. Okay, so we've got a very bright orange. We've got an olive green. We've got a light blue. And again, no rhyme or reason. Your hands need to move fast so your brain doesn't start interfering with what you're doing. Your brain has no business arting. Your brain can be used for other things. It doesn't need to be involved in your art. Turquoise. Couple of things coming to my mind right now as I'm doing this. Mira, grab me another sheet of paper, please. Just the white. Again, you can see I'm using a lot of different colors from different brands. Thank you. I'll need one more sheet because I just decided I want to do another technique as I was doing this. Because
Okay.
so I won't scrape with this because I just saw the colors and I'm like, wait, this look really pretty. So I've got golden fluid. I've got Liquitex Basics. Oops, that's a lot of red in one corner. Okay, well, so this is what I meant when I said that sometimes more color squeezes out, but then you always have your fingers and you can always move it around. Yep. Okay, so this is, I was going to do something different, but because when I was putting the colors on, I thought, oh, this will be fun. And I haven't done this in a while, so let's see what happens. So I'm just going to put another sheet of paper on this. This gives you so much more bang for the buck because suddenly you're going to have, oh my gosh, so many little tokens that you can cut out of this. And you can do different techniques on both sheets. You could use a brayer at this point. You could, since I have a brayer sitting over here. So all I did was dabs. My intention was to scrape. I will do that on this other sheet because I do want to show you the scraping technique as well. Since I had a thought. Look at how pretty this is. Oh my gosh. Oh, this just makes my heart so happy. But obviously this is not something that you would use as by itself for gratitude tags. So, since I have the brayer, we'll do this on one. And I am going to remind you we are playing. So, I don't want you freaking out about any of this and saying, oh my gosh, she ruined it. It was so beautiful. Because I don't have a plan. So I'm not ruining anything. Okay? And you don't have a plan. At least you shouldn't have a plan. So you're not ruining anything either. We're all just playing. We are back in pre-K, where we used to be encouraged to play, where nobody taught us anything about the color wheel. We had no idea what we were doing, but we were having fun. And immediately you see how this is so different than that. Knowing that we are turning these into gratitude tags, knowing my process for these, I will do the exact same thing on this. Now, notice also that because this sheet of paper was still sitting while I was working on the first sheet, the paint is a bit more dry on this one. So it's not going to spread out as much. So the blobs are going to be a bit more pronounced on this one and a bit more smudgy on this one. But I love this because I know that this lays the groundwork for something that can follow with mixed media techniques. I'm going to set this aside. We're going to work on 3 sheets at the same time because we're using acrylics. This is the one that I'll show you the scraping technique on. So I will just go, same thing, blob, blob, blob. Don't think. There's no order of colors. If you want to plan this out, if that's what brings you joy, do that. But I think most of us get so caught up in planning things out that it kills the joy, takes the joy away. We're here to make sure that this is a playful process, not a stressful one. So no planning, please, if you can help yourselves. Mira, can you get me the gesso, please, from the craft closet? So I like to use gesso instead of white paint because it's cheaper. If you see the white acrylic, just get that. No, gesso. If you don't see, just get the white acrylic paint. That's fine. This paint is going to dry up by the time you come, love. Just get whatever you see. Thank you.
I think that's pizza.
As in the kitchen, timing matters. You got to move fast. Okay, putting some gesso, cheaper than white paint, gives you the same effect, I feel. Again, I'm not one to learn how to do art the right way from. So this is the scraping technique. So I just have this scraper, but you can use an old credit card. It doesn't have to be a scraper. You don't have to get all fancy. I just seem to, I don't know how, have everything in my toolbox. I actually know how because I don't know how to control myself and I don't have a budget for art supplies. But I had vowed last year that I would not buy anything new until I actually started using what I had, and I've been very good about it. And these gratitude tags have helped me with it too, because I'm actually using what I have and I'm trying out all these different things. All these things that bring me joy. And so you see the dots can go both ways. You can do something like we did earlier where you just let the dots be, or you can take it a step further and use a brayer or smush them, or use a scraper and do what I'm doing here. It doesn't require a lot of paint. All we're trying to do, end goal here, is to cover the paper with paint so there's no white. And I got all your colors, and I got my yellow. And I got an orange that people don't like.
Ooh, if there's another paper, you could make circles with a scraper.
What do you mean?
Like turn the scraper around in a circle.
Make circles with this? So I have this paper. What are you saying? So I put this down?
And then make it go in a circle.
Make this go in a circle?
Yeah.
Oh, so this is what my child does. She gives me ideas. Oh, I see what you mean. Is this what you had in mind?
Yeah.
I've never done this. Because I do have a lot of paint on the scraper. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, so you can actually use all of this. And I don't know what I'm doing here, though. So I'm just going to scrape some of this since she brought it up just straight up, because I think she had something in mind, which I didn't. And I'm not good at following directions. So I'm just going to do what I can do. And so, yeah, you can also, I guess this shows you, you can also just take a scraper, and if you have excess paint on it, use the cutouts, the circles or the rectangles that you had from earlier, and just cover them in paint, and then that becomes like a foundation for a mixed media piece for later. So nothing goes waste, as you can see in our house, nothing. She is also of the mindset that, oh, you can use this for this.
You can make butterfly wings that way.
I don't know. Do you want to try? Take the scraper. Why don't you try that on your table? So this is the amount of paint we have, and Mira's going to try out something at her table that you're not going to see on camera, because I'm still going to be focusing on this. Okay, so here's what we have. We have one sheet that looks like this, and we have 2 sheets that look like this. And now there are two ways to go about this. You can either continue doing mixed media on this, or you can cut it up and then do mixed media on it. So I will do it both ways for you, and the easiest way to do it both ways for you is to cut this in half and show you what I mean. So all I'm doing is, it's a very, and I got paint on the back, okay. That's what happens. Should I cut it, should I tear it?
Tear it.
Well, this is very thick paper.
Oh, then cut it.
But I don't want to get up and get the cutter, so I'm just going to tear it. This is how things roll in our house. It's decisions are based on laziness for the most part. This is thick paper, as you can see. This is thick cardstock. So I'm using my T ruler, because if I were to tear it by hand, it would go every which way. Okay, here we have this half. And we'll set that aside. I will use this sheet in its entirety. And what I mean by doing mixed media on this and then cutting it up versus on individual tags is this. So we're going to take some spray paint. I have a Distress Oxide here. This is me not thinking again. I just picked up the first one. I realized it was blue after I picked it up. Oh, that's what you meant by butterfly wings?
I saw someone said that in the comments, so
Oh,
I tried it.
okay. Well, she tried butterfly wings. Thanks to whoever said that in the comment. There's still so much paint on this. I would hate to see that wasted. So I'm just going to go for it. Yep, not wasted anymore. And now I have this beautiful thing over there that I can put a stencil on. And then I can use a paper towel. And you know, a lot of times when I'm doing something like this, because it's play and it's not planned, I discover new ways of doing things. And if it turns out really cool, then I might try that again. But it wouldn't have happened if I wasn't playing, right? If I didn't have excess paint, if she hadn't taken it, if she hadn't brought it back, none of this would have happened. So I like the serendipity aspect of things when they happen like this. Some people get really, really freaked out about this because it's just so out there and so not organized, and like, see, you might consider this as ruining it, but when it's cut up, this might actually be the most interesting part of this entire painting. Who knows? Just go with the flow. It's all good. So that stencil didn't do much, but it left that impression. So once this is dry, we'll see what happens. I'm going to put that on the side. Now, mixed media. So I did some spray here. You can see a little bit of spray there. That was the Distress Oxide. And then I'm going to get, maybe let's do colored pencils. We haven't done colored pencils yet. So I've got my Stabilo colored pencils here. This is a dark blue. I remember I had bought these when Mira was in pre-K for her. And I've used them way more than she has. So this is how a piece becomes a mixed media piece, is when you basically mix your media in different ways. And I realize it's 3 o'clock, so if people need to jump off, it's totally fine. You can always catch the replay. But if you have time and you can stay, please do. So you can see how all of this comes together at the end. There's gold. I'm just, again, going mostly for places or for spots that are still white. This is more like a turquoise, which kind of matches the acrylic paint. I like that these are nubby. They're stubby and, you know, good for motor movement. And I use them a lot when I'm just having like big feelings and I just want to make circles or just big marks, bold marks. I love the feeling of these for that purpose. Okay, and then we have plenty of red, so I won't do red. I'll do a pink. And I'm not, you can see, deliberating too much on what makes sense where. I am noticing as I'm doing this how the pink looks different on a darker background versus a lighter background versus a muddy background. I'm noticing it subliminally. I'm not consciously making a note of it, but I'm noticing it. And I think the more you play and the more you kind of get in the zone without thinking too much, these ideas stay with you. They inform your next creative play. Whether or not you're actively thinking about it, something's happening in your brain when you just lose yourself in the process. And it's an amazing thing because it informs how you play next time. And you might not even make those connections, because you're not actively thinking about it, but our brain's constantly working. It's observing, it's learning. So these two look very different from each other. And then I will get my Posca markers out. But before I get my Posca markers out, I just realized I haven't used my alcohol ink markers in a while. So I'm going to take my alcohol ink markers and see where the broad tip is. I'm just mark making right now. Rainbows, X's, circles, whatever you want to do. It's just play. It's just play. And it will look different once it's all cut up, because this is all going to get cut up, remember? So you'll just see parts of it. It's not gonna hang up as a painting somewhere. Which is why it doesn't matter what you do. If you feel like doing it, if your brain's saying, what if I did that? This is your chance to do it. This is absolutely your chance to see whatever that is, would look like. And maybe it'll look terrible. Maybe it will not. But you won't know until you do. Okay. So those were my alcohol ink markers. And then I will do my Posca markers. This is supposed to be a yellow, but it's looking green because I probably used it for something else earlier. Now, if I start losing patience with a particular color or a particular tip or a particular medium, I move on to the next. And the only reason I'm saying that out loud is because I'm noticing how I'm feeling. So with that yellow, I was just like, okay, this is not working for me. Moved on to a pink, right? So just notice how you're feeling, how that is making you feel. Whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's the medium, whether it's the technique, whether it's the dotting or the circles or the paper too sometimes. If it's not making you feel good, move on to the next thing. This is not an exercise in sticking through with it. There's no. If it's not making you feel good, you absolutely can give yourself permission to move on. You don't have to stick with it. You don't have to persist. Move on. Do the next thing. Yep? Okay. So those are the three colors I'll use for now. That's what I feel like doing. And then I will cut these up. Okay, so let's get the cutter. And I broke something. I didn't break it. It was just my brush holder. Oh, what's happening here? It got stuck. Okay. So the backs, if you're wondering about the backs. Now, since these backs got super messy, some of these will need to be stuck onto something else. Most of them will be fine. So let's see how big this is. This is 5 3/4. Now I'm really bad at math, so I'm just going to do even numbers. I'll do 4. This is the part where people get scared and they won't, they'll deliberate over cutting it. Just cut it. Don't think about it. If you think about it, you're never going to do it. So just cut it. Be merciless. Because you know what? You made it. You can make it again. You have that power. You are an artist, remember? I'm just doing 2 by 4 again. So I did the 4 earlier. Now I'm just doing the 2 inches. So it's 2 inches by 4 inches. Okay, now I want to show you the magic. So I'll just move this. Actually, let me cut this and I'll show you the magic all at once. And I call it magic because it really is so fun to see this whole thing cut up. into these tiny pieces, take on its own life. So this one was 11.5, so I will do 10, make it an even number. Don't forget to keep these strips that are coming out as extras, because you're going to use them later. So that was a 10. This is an 8, so we'll make it a 4. Make it an 8 first, and then let's make it a 4. And now let's do the 2s. So we had an 8, so now this will be at the 6-inch mark. Oh no, I did something wrong. This looks too thick. Maybe this was a 10. It might have been a 10. Let's see, is it a 4? Yeah, so this is supposed to be 2. This is a nice square though. If you are into squares and you want to hand out squares, that's an option. Okay, so that's 2 by 4. And then these should be at the 6 mark. Yeah, so now I do a 4. I just have to say this out loud because I am so bad at calculating that if I don't say it out loud, I will get strips in weird sizes, which is fine if you end up doing that, because you can cut those up even and use them still as collage material. It's nothing is the end of the world. Okay, so here's the magic. This is what we did. You see how each one has its own markings, has its own colors, has its own personality, and it's not something I could have predicted because I was not planning it out. I was not thinking in 2 and 4s. Okay, 2 inches here, 4 inches there, this is what it's going to end up looking like. So each one looks different. They're all part of the same. And that's the thing about this is when I hand these out, this is a very philosophical thing, but I feel like when I hand these out, it is a very tangible reminder to me that we are all interconnected. 1 or 2 sheets of paper turned into these little tokens of love that will touch all of these different lives.
You've made this before. Same
And I have
technique.
made, yes, same technique. So this is what Mira is showing me as a reminder that this was something like this. It got all messy, so then I stuck it on a blank sheet of paper. So this is after all the embossing and all that stuff. So you can see, since she pointed it out, after you've got this, you round out the edges, you punch a hole in, you can add glitter, you can add texture, you can add stencils, you can add gilding flakes, you can add Nuvo drops, you can do so much. And then you can neaten it up and then stick it on a base. And so then you have a clean background to write on. Most of these are clean and it's pretty sturdy. Like this one is not, so I would probably stick this on something. But these I would hand out with these paint marks. So, you know, it's all good. So let's finish up some of these. I just want to show you how, let's just do 2 of these. And then with this one, what I was saying was if you were to not tackle the whole sheet at once, and you were to then make it into these, it would ultimately end up being something like this, but then you would embellish it individually instead of making the mark makings on the whole thing. So how would I embellish these 2? I would probably use gold again. So I'll get my gold out. And I do want to do 1 gel plate print and 1 finger painting because I really wanted to do that. I'm just going to do gold like this. I'm just dipping I'm not picking up the watercolor brush again. Done watercoloring for the day. That's also what I do, you know, this is how I operate. If I've done too much of something and my heart just says, nope, no more, I'm not going to pick up the brush again. So I'm just doing the gold with my pinky finger. Still have some gold left here, so make a 5th dot. And see, the thing about doing something like this so organically is that it's always going to be unique. It's always going to be yours. Nobody can copy this. They just cannot, even if they tried. And I want to do some Nuvo drops on this. The Nuvo drops are these Nuvo drops? Liquid pearls, sorry. They have a tendency to dry up. So sometimes they don't cooperate. So if they don't, I just kind of leave it. It's just not going to happen. And it's fine. I just went for dots in that one because it just felt like it needed dots. Don't ask me how I know it needed dots. It just felt like it did. This one just felt like it needed lines. I'm not thinking, I'm just doing. So if I feel like that's what this needs, I don't know how to explain it. I just feel this is what it needs. This is what I do. So I did turquoise, or whatever this color is, juniper, on these. I picked up a pink, but I don't want to do pink. I want to do like a white on this one. So I have a fine line. So this is a fine line applicator, which basically means it has a thin needle attached to it. And I have a mix of gesso and white acrylic ink. Well, maybe I shouldn't have done dots because I did dots with the other thing. So I'll just extend these into lines. So what I usually do is I make one mark with one color, and if I did dots with one color, I will not do dots with the same, like with a different color. I will do some other mark. I just think it keeps things interesting. I like these fine liners. You can also write with them. So this is what I meant by when you have the individual tags. If you were not doing this as a whole sheet, you would just cut it up and then you would embellish it differently for each tag. If you were doing a series, you might have all of these laid out together, and you might do the nouveau, the liquid pearls, on each one as you were doing it. You would do the white marks on each one if you were creating a series. I usually create series when I get an order for these and I have to make a set of 10 or 20. But ultimately, at the end of the day, these are experimental pieces. So the more different techniques you can and want to try out on these, you should. Don't worry about making a series because each one of these is going to a different person anyway. And then the last thing I would do is I would round out the corners. Just makes it look nicer. I'm just a little worried about the paint because it's still wet. I usually would do this after it's dry, but I want to show you. So I would punch these out, round out the corners. See, it looks much nicer comparatively to the one that has the right angled edge. Oh, come on. Okay. So just as a comparison. But do whatever rocks your boat. And if you want to do it like with fancy scissors, Mira has some of those fancy edge scissors, the ripple effect ones and the wavy ones and whatnot. You could also use those. So for example, thank you for handing those, love. So these are from the Kids Craft Store, Scallops craft store. I cannot tell. They don't work that well? Well, let's see. They're working fine. I think it depends on the paper that you're cutting. This is thick cardstock. So say you were using one of these fancy scissors. You could take a blank tag, the ones that I already have pre-cut, for example. Just giving you ideas, not going to finish this because I do want to do a finger painting and a gel plate printing because I know some of you enjoy doing that. You could take some of these strips that you have, and if you don't have punching thingies, you can just use scissors to just collage. These could be mountains, these could be in repetitive fashion. They could be flowers, they could become grass. You know, all kinds of things are possible when you're collaging. So that was your mixed media lesson. Now let's quickly do a finger painting one, my favorite thing to do. And since I have these two out, we'll just do finger painting on these. Putting these over here. These are almost dry. This, by the way, is a watercolor sheet. This whole thing is a watercolor sheet. So I'm painting on paper. I'm getting paint on paper that I will cut up eventually. Okay, what did I say I was doing? Finger painting, thank you. So I'll get my palette paper out. You can do some finger painting. Do you want tags?
Yes.
You can take the blanks. And so for finger painting, I use, these are the colors. Well, colors, I'm just picking out the first, whatever's first in each row. So Mira organizes my color in rainbow order. She is responsible for my peg wall, my pegboard wall. So I just picked out one color of each. So I have a green. You don't need a lot for finger painting. So I have just a blob. And I'm just going to be using my pinky finger. I actually might use a bigger substrate just so you can see more clearly, but you don't need a particular size to finger paint on. Mira, what size tag do you want?
I got the tags palette.
You need the palette paper?
Paper, yes.
It's in the closet. Or do you want me to tear this up for you? Up to you.
Yeah.
You'll get your own? Okay, so here is, I'll just use the bigger one because it'll just show better. And actually I'll also use one of these. So we can have two. Okay, so we have pink. And I might add more of any of these, but I just want to start out with less given how small these substrates are. And again, if at any point you need to leave, please leave. Don't feel compelled to stay. If you stay, it's good. If you don't, it's fine. Just take some gesso. You can also use white paint.
I need to pull out, but for me, I can't.
Oh, you can't find it? Okay. So I like palette paper because you can peel off paint from it. You can also use parchment paper if you want. And you don't have to have ceramic palettes to then clean. Here, is that enough?
Yeah.
And you don't need a lot, as you can see how much I tore for her. So I'm just going to make a sky, which is basically blue and white acrylic paint. This is not any special paper. It's just cardstock that I cut up. I am using my biggest finger for this. And again, it's just anybody can do this. So I'm not picking up a paintbrush specifically. This is finger painting because I don't want you feeling like, oh my gosh, I cannot do acrylic paints. You can, just like you can do watercolors, just like you can do mixed media. You can do this. So the key to this is keep wiping your fingers clean after you're done with one thing. So now I'll do the same thing with the green. I'll get some white, some yellow, and some green on one finger and just go at the bottom. Anybody can do this, okay? So don't come up with excuses that stop you from starting. I believe in you. I know you can do this because I can do this. And half the time I don't know what I'm doing. So if I can do this, you can do this. Yes? Mira?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we've got kind of a sky. We've got kind of like a grassy patch, I guess. And then I'm going to take my pinky finger. I'm going to take a bit of each color. So I'm going to take yellow, pink, red. There's more yellow on one side, there's more red on one side. I don't know how it's all going to end up. So it's fine. Just do blobs. You'll get one of some color in each blob. Just do blobs. Again, anybody can do it. You are that anybody, and you can do it. Okay, that's it. Nothing scary. Yes? All right, now go in with some, wipe the pinky finger. If you have stubby pinky fingers, that's an excuse I often hear for people who don't try this out. Make bigger flowers, it's all good. They don't have to be tiny. That's the thing about nature. All sizes are available for appreciation. Stop smirking, Mira. It is true.
It is.
So, we are adding depth and color and light, and we're not thinking about direction of light, or it should be all dark on one side or all light on one side, or where is the sun at this point of day. I'm not worrying about that stuff that comes with, when you're making a beautiful acrylic painting that needs to hang on somebody's wall. No, that's not what we're doing here. I'm going to leave this be for now. Come back with a colored pencil on that. This one, I'm going to do something that is a bit bigger and bolder because, again, if there are people with big fingers, I don't want this to become your excuse. So, starting out with a green. Oh, I had a lot of yellow on this, didn't I? Okay, got that. Then I'll get my white, blend out the background a bit. So I never used to do acrylic paintings. Never. I got acrylic paints only to do gel plate printing because, everybody used acrylics with gel plates. And then I stopped doing gel plate printing for a bit, but I still had the acrylics, and I went to our local art fair, and I met an artist there, and she does beautiful acrylic paintings. And I said, oh my gosh, I actually bought one, a mermaid from her for Mira's bedroom. And she followed me on Instagram, and she said she loved my work and that I do all these different mediums and I'm not afraid to explore. And I said, well, I've never done acrylics. And she said, well, why? That's the easiest medium. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, you do watercolors. Watercolors are the hardest. And I said, no, watercolors are easy. There's nothing hard about watercolors. And she's like, I've never done watercolors because you cannot correct yourself in watercolors. If you mess up, it's like there's no going back from it. You'll just have to start all over on a new piece of paper. With acrylics, it's the easiest thing because you can just paint over it. And that was such an aha moment for me because I was like, wait, you can paint over it? Huh. Well, I'm going to give it a try then. And I haven't looked back. So again, I made something that looks like a plant, I think. This is going to have one big bold flower. Again, my flowers are all C-shapes. Happy smile. I just make a smile. And then it just kind of works from there. I have some blue still because I was using the same finger because I'm demonstrating. If you have a thick pinky finger, that shouldn't stop you from trying this. I'm not going to be standing here for excuses because there's no room for excuses when you're playing. Just add some white for highlights. Do shorter strokes. And who cares what kind of flower this is? Nobody cares. It just looks kind of like a flower. Kind of like. That's what we're aiming for. Kind of like. Add some more white if it starts feeling too dark. Add some red if it starts feeling too blue. Just play. And who's to say that this is not exactly the flower you wanted to make? Who's to say that? Finger painting. Done. Calling it a day. It's easy. It really is. It really is easy. We just make it super complicated in our own heads. Okay? So, as Diane says, let your intuition lead. Okay, so we've got this one done. Now for this one, I'm going to go back in with colored pencils. So I'm just going to take a green, a lighter green, a darker green, and maybe a brown, or whatever this is. Framboise noir, black raspberry, okay. And I'm just going to add stems to ground them. Just go in different directions because plants don't always grow in one direction. Mira, I would love to see what you're making if you want to bring it over here once you're done.
Yes.
And so we might add, I didn't put the palette paper away yet because we might end up adding some dark green to this. At the bottom, I just wanted each of these to have a stem first. And these are just, any color pencils will do. A pen would also do, a ballpoint pen. You don't need a colored pencil. I just picked up a colored pencil because I've ruined a lot of pens because I use my micron pens. That's what I reach out for. Ruined the tips of those. Many of those. And they're not cheap, so colored pencils are much better for me. Or ballpoint pens would also work on acrylic paint. And while we're doing that, just kind of add some scraggly marks over here. So you see how easy this is? It's like so fun. Okay, and then for leaves, and this might feel kiddish, but I will say this to you. There's a difference between kiddish and kid-like. And I feel a lot of what I do is kid-like, but not kiddish, because ultimately it ends up looking sophisticated. And why is that? I don't know. I do think it's the randomness of how I do it that makes it look not like kindergarten art. Because kindergartners are very splotchy sometimes in how they perceive things. And even now at 10, I don't think that Mira does a lot of random splotchy stuff. She's very particular about how she does it. So here's your happy flower field. And then if you were to go in with a blue and red mix, it would make a purple. To add just a little bit of variation to those flowers. You don't need to. You can also, at this point, use a Posca marker, which I'm just looking for a white pencil or a white Posca marker, to add some highlights. This is a Stabilo pencil. And so this is how I know when things work or don't work, is by trying them out. This is not going to work, but maybe a pastel white might work. So these are my oil pastels. And again, I know I said I would do finger painting, but most of my work turns out as a mixed media piece, because this is exactly what happens. Because I'll do something and I'll go, oh, but I think I need accents. And my paint is dried up. I don't feel like squeezing out more paint. So I go to the next medium. And in this case, it happens to be a white pastel. And it's still going to be finger painting in that I will be blending it. And you don't have to do the same amount in every flower. Add some diversity, because, you know, that's kind of what makes it interesting. And then got too much white, so I'll add maybe a deep red. So Pentel oil pastels are on the cheaper end. Sennelier are on the more expensive, so I have more of the Pentel and less of the Sennelier.
But you love the Sennelier.
But I love the Sennelier. I do. And I think I just want to add a touch of orange, just to make it pop. So again, you'll know when to stop. I cannot tell you a stopping point. When it feels right to you, you'll know. The more you do this, the more you'll just know. I want to make the sky a bit lighter. I actually still have some of the white acrylic paint, so I might just, not acrylic paint, the gesso, combine the two. And again, you see how it's not rocket science, and it's not precision, and it's no brushes are involved. You're just kind of feeling the paper with your fingers.
I finished this small tag.
Okay, I'll look at it in a minute. Almost done with this. And there you have a happy flower field, right? And Mira, here, can you hold up yours? Oh, look! Oh, that's so pretty. Look at yours. You made roses. Okay, so that's what my 10-year-old did. Oh, this makes my heart happy. Thank you. Thank you for playing. Oh, thank you for the peels. Okay, since we have the acrylic paint out, we'll do gel plate printing really fast. Okay. This just makes my heart so happy today. You have no idea. Just by coming here and attending this workshop, you have given me a gift. Because I would not have done this if it weren't for people saying that they would come. And I have been deep in my book. Mira, can you close the door so we don't hear him barking that loudly? Thank you.
Ollie, it's okay.
This is how I store my gel plates, by the way. So, it's just sheets of cardstock paper, and I pile them on, and I cut some up so they're all kind of odd shapes. So how about we use, we can go both ways. How about we use the pre-cut papers instead of doing one big paper? So how I would do the one big paper is I would just use the one big gel plate, one big paper, make some prints with gel plate and cut them up like I did for the mixed media. How I would do individual tags is what I want to show you, because that's just something more specific. It's also faster. I'm looking for my brayer. I know I used it earlier. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we're going to use, let's say, aqua, because it was the first thing I saw. And my yellow, trusty friend. And just roll it up with a brayer. So this is a Jelly Arts gel plate. That's the only brand I have. There's also the Gel Press gel plate. So place my tag right there. I didn't use any textures or anything. I'm just doing a background. I'm just going to do one tag. I do have a lot of gel plate printing tutorials up there, but I also picked out a lot of leaves today to show you many tags. I actually, you know what, I'm not going to announce it. I'll just do one tag because I might not. Then let's use dark blue. Just going with my gut here of what color I want to do. And then do I have my texture box anywhere? Oh yes, so I have textures right here. So when I say texture box, this is my one box. I used to have 4 boxes, really big ones, big containers. I pared it down to this one box. So these are my textures now. This is from Cuties. You just put this on, the paint. The gel plate is the most forgiving, but also the most frustrating medium there is, because depending on where you are, the humidity, the dryness of your environment, you may or may not get any of these results. I sometimes don't get results even on the same day. So I got a bit of the dark blue, the orange netting there. Mira, pick a color, any color.
Green.
Green, I just used green. Okay, I'll use a darker
pink.
green. I'll use a darker green, it's fine.
Okay.
Okay, dark green. I just want to show you some base layers with some textures, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So we got a dark green. I have such a hard time picking colors because my brain starts going into overdrive with colors and what works, what doesn't work, and all that stuff. So I usually ask for input. And this is a lid of some sort from somewhere. So just made that, put that on. And you can just keep building your layers. And you can stop at any point. You don't have to push it as far as I do. I just like to play. So I keep pushing and pushing and pushing until I can push no more. I'm using a dark blue since I saw that. Full coverage does not matter at this point. I'm just getting some patterns on. Just rubbing half of it on like this, taking it off, and rubbing half of it on like that to show you that you can get circles like this or you can get dots like that from the same texture. Okay? So just play. Play and you'll discover so many different things that can happen with a gel plate. You can also use Posca markers on these. Did I put them back? Or where's my alcohol ink markers? You can also use those. Let's use alcohol ink markers. So take your alcohol ink marker and maybe make some patterns here. Anything really, circles, swirls, whatever you want, stripes. And then take a Posca marker, say a lighter color. I mean, the gel plate is just, as I said, so forgiving and so frustrating all at the same time. And then you could also take a stamping ink. I'm just showing you just everything that can be done. You can do them all separately. You don't have to do them all at once like I'm doing. I'm just trying to show you how versatile this is. And you can take a stamp. Well, the normal way to do it would be to use your stamping ink on the stamp and then add that on. And you can just do this after the fact on the paper itself. You don't have to do it on the gel plate. I'm just showing that you can. And then once all of this is done, you just touch it and see if it's dry. It's not quite, but I am not a patient person, so I'm just kind of going to go for it. Again, as I said, I don't have an end product in mind. I'm just playing. If I wanted it to transfer exactly as I was seeing it there, I would probably wait. And then I'm going to use another, I like the eyelash yarn. See, now while I'm doing this, the paint is drying up on the gel plate. So that's the thing. With the gel plate, you always just have to be ready with whatever it is that you're doing next. And I'm not a good planner. So what I have in my head sometimes doesn't quite show up. But that's okay. I like the unpredictability of it. I like that it's reinforcing that idea of play. So see how faint, as I was saying, some of it works, some of it doesn't work. It all kind of is very dependent on humidity, temperature, how long you took to put things on the gel plate, and all of that stuff. So I'm going to move all of this away. I'm going to use a red, and I'm going to use a mask. And then you'll see what that means. So I'm using an opaque red. You could also use an opaque Prussian blue at this point if you wanted to keep with the theme, which is a blues and greens theme. You could also use white. I just wanted it to be a little bit more dramatic. Well, let's do maple, because it is fall. So we just went on a walk right before the live started and collected some of these from outside. These will serve as our masks, so anything that will block out the color is your mask. These leaves are going to be the mask in this situation. I'm just placing them willy-nilly. So this is what we're going with, right? This is what we have. We'll press this on. And if this doesn't work, we can always use a white or a dark blue and use a different mask on top. That's how I get my layered prints. Lots and lots of layered prints happen as a result of not getting exactly what I wanted the first time around, or what I had envisioned I would get the first time around. If it's not as dramatic as I wanted, like this, I knew kind of as I was talking that this wouldn't quite turn out the way I was envisioning it, but that's okay. It's all good. So what I then want to do is maybe use a white. So I'll use my gesso, and this time I'll use a different leaf and see where that goes. And if that doesn't turn out, I'll use a dark blue. So you just keep layering. For me, the gel plate is not about doing a foolproof kind of thing. It's just about playing. This is too big of a leaf. Okay, so let's see if this one works. Okay, just press it down a bit and take this. This is what it looks like right now. Press it on. See what that does. Press it with your knuckles really hard, like you're giving yourself a massage. This also is a very, very therapeutic technique. So you see, it's a little bit better, but it's still not like a va-va-voom kind of effect. Okay. So then I go in with my Prussian blue, because I'm not ending there, because I really want it to be dramatic. I like this ghost print, but I'm not pulling it right now. Okay, let's see. We'll do a Prussian blue. Also an opaque blue. And maybe I'll do a feather, just to break it up. Again, feathers that we pick up on our walks on the beach or just in our neighborhood. This is what it looks like. I didn't count. Did anybody count how many layers this was? I wasn't counting. But it's a lot of layers, as you can see, right? Just for one tag. And so again, I will remind you, when you're doing this for yourself. When you're handing it out, most likely nobody's going to know how much time you spent on one tag. And it should not matter. To you, the joy came from making it, not from whether or not it's appreciated at the level that you would like it appreciated. That's what ATCs are for. The artist trading cards, that's what they're for that kind of appreciation. Because other artists know, when you're giving these out to random people, grocery clerks, postal drivers, restaurant workers, they don't know. Most of them will not know what it took for you to make this. You know, and that should be sufficient. That is what I meant by dramatic. That's what I wanted to achieve. And then what you can do with this to make it pop even more is two things. So you can take a Derwent Inktense pencil or an ink pen or a brush marker, anything that is water soluble that will not give you hard edges. That's also fast. You could do the same thing with watercolors, but it's not going to be as fast. So I'm going to go with, say, an iron green. This is a Derwent Inktense pencil, so these are water soluble. And I'm just going to outline, it's not going to be very harsh, just the bottom of the feathers, just to kind of accentuate the outline of the feather a bit more from the background, just so it stands out. And this also kind of gives you the liberty to add a bit more veining, if you will, where the feathers were not it was not as separated in parts. Simple, very, very simple technique to enhance your print. Right, and then you can also, if you didn't want any of this background showing, use a colored pencil to just kind of blend that out. So it's not, the focal image is the focal image. And at this point, you could stencil on top of this with something. You could stamp on top of this with an embossing powder, so it would start looking even more. Let me see. So something like this is what I'm saying you could do. You could add like embossing powder and a stamp on the side here, and you could enhance it that way. You could add some more colors. You could add a lot of pop of colors. So what I would do to enhance this is, again, this is me spending time enjoying this activity, not thinking about who I'm giving it to, how it will be received, any of that stuff. For me to enjoy this activity and to turn this into the piece, the artwork that I want to turn it into, this is what I would do. And that's what I'm sharing with you. So I take the red, pop it a bit more in parts. Hi, Ollie. Hi, sweetie.
I finished another tag.
You finished another tag. Do you want to share?
Yes, I'll put the pencil away first.
And this is going to be our last one, so I appreciate those of you who've stayed way over time. We're almost on 2 hours, to see how all of this shapes out. And just tips and tricks on how to play, really. Mira, go ahead, share yours while I'm doing this. What do you want to say? I don't know. I'm not looking up. You can share.
Well, basically, I started by having to use up a lot of green paint because I poured
But show
out
it,
too
don't
much.
look at it. Yeah.
And then it created a lot of layers while she was talking about layers. So I let it dry, and then I added some pink roses so they would pop.
And it's very, very wet right now, isn't it?
Yes.
This will need to be double mounted. And look at your hands. I love it. Okay, let it dry. Thank you for sharing, love. This is how our typical weekends go. This is not something that I'm just doing for the live or she's here just for the live. This is how I feel very, very blessed that we're able to spend our weekends like this. So again, very, very simple enhancements here with colored pencils to make it pop a little bit more. And lastly, what you can do is add some white markings, very subtle. Oh, that tip broke. I just like making rainbows. You can also at this point add gold. I just saw that sitting over here, so gold is always a good touch. And if you wanted, you could also do the Nuvo drops that I had somewhere here earlier. So, did I keep them back? Because that would look really cool with this. I found it. So Nuvo drops you could do. So it's just embellishing, right? And then you've spent some time. These are not discards. These are not things that you're not proud of. These are things you invested your time and energy and soul and heart into, that you've loved making. And then once they're infused with that energy, to hand it out, that is what causes the ripples of happiness. It's that energy that you're infusing it with. And so here you have it. Oops, don't slip off. And then I would just add like a whole reinforcer there, add some gold twine, and you're done, right? So let's see, let's review. We have made how many of these in these 2 hours? And so many different techniques. And I hope you got a ton of ideas on how you can make this journey your own. And if you do make these, I would love to feature them in my book. So please, 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 please fill out that form. Don't feel shy. I really want people to be inspired by your stories, by what you've made, not just by what I make. Because I want people to know that, people like them, it's people like you, it's people like me. Just don't take it from the horse's mouth. There are other people like you out there who need that inspiration. Is this all we made? Yeah, we have all of these. So yeah, we covered a lot of ground today, didn't we? And we did watercolors like the regular way. We did watercolors with ink pens. We did mixed media 2 different ways. We did finger painting. We did 1 gel plate print. And I wish I had time for more, but I know people need to go. I'm going to switch this back up to my face. And oh my gosh, it's been 1 hour and 51 minutes and you all have still been here. So thank you. I appreciate your time. If you have any questions and I didn't get back to you, reach out to me, mansimakes.com. That's the website. On Instagram, on Facebook, however you want to. bit.ly/mmbookfeature. That's your URL to please fill out that form and share your tokens of love, share your experiences, and be part of this journey because you truly are. This is not just my book. This book that I'm working on is not just my book. I see this as a community effort. I see you as kindness ambassadors, and it would be such an honor to feature your work in my book. It really would, because I don't think anybody cares for an art degree to do this. Anybody can do it. Anybody can spread big ripples of happiness, and just play. Remember that 3-year-old. Don't forget her. Don't let her get embellished or immersed in this chaos. She deserves so much more. So give her some love, nurture her art, and let her play from time to time. And I'm hoping that between now and the book launch, which should happen next year, so my deadline for the book manuscript is February 14. I still have a lot of writing to do, which I will start when we come back. I'm taking a whole month of December off for a family vacation. We've not had one this year, so we're going on a family trip. And once I come back in January, it'll be all just a lot of writing for me. But I'm hoping that February onwards, once the book manuscript is done, I don't know what happens after, how much editing and how much involvement I have with that, but I intend to do more lives. And I intend to keep this momentum going because I don't want the book to be the end of it. I want it to be the beginning of something that we do together. I want that to be the revolution. I want that to be a reminder that kindness exists, that each one of us are change makers. We have the ability to do that, and it doesn't take much. And it's giving us so much more in return than we're putting out there. So thank you for being here. Mira, do you want to come here and say thank you to everyone? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. You're just reading all the comments, aren't you?
Yes.
And Mira's here too, so she thanks you as well for being here, for coming here. And Ollie's here too. Ollie, do you want to come up?
Ollie,
Come to me. I have painted fingers. I love having painted fingers. Come here, sweetie. Up.
don't get paint on him.
I won't get paint on him. It's dry paint. It's very thin paint. He wants to say bye too. He's been so patient, this child. He just came and he gave me hugs. But thank you so much for being here from our little family. We thank you for spending a part of your weekend with us, and we so enjoyed being part of yours. Keep creating. Stay well. Bye.